Good morning, everybody. It's Friday. Thanks for tuning in to Gulf Coast Weather Solutions. Meteorologist Johnny Lively for our Friday and weekend update. Not much going on the Tamco Live Doppler radar this morning, but we can see that it is very humid outside. You can't see it, but you can feel it if you definitely go outside. Not much going on to view on the Tamco Live Doppler radar, but if we zoom out and look out what's going on in parts of the Lone Star State, very active just north of Del Rio, but especially towards Dallas and McKinney. This is the line or somewhat of the clusters of storms that we will watch later this afternoon into the early evening time hours try to approach or push into our region. This is what we're going to be watching that could give us some showers and thunderstorms later on this afternoon, but that could make for a stormy morning on Saturday as well too. But you can see it is very quiet across the southeast Texas and even the state of Louisiana. Lots of rain yesterday in portions of Louisiana, especially in portions of the deep south, but all of this is now more of the central west and really up there towards North Texas. We'll be watching that approach our region later on this afternoon into the early evening time hours. Right now, it is very muggy and humid pretty much all across the board. We are into the low 80s. Typically, you would see at least some low to mid 70s in some parts of the region, but we are pretty much all across the board. Very warm, very humid. And this is thanks to our sponsor of Neutron Electrical Services showing us of just what's going on this Friday morning here in June. Very warm and very muggy. Very interesting, the rainfall totals that we've seen in eastern Louisiana. I mean, this is very similar to what you saw with Tropical Storm Imelda. Not much went on here in southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana, but look at this very small cluster of rain. Up to 30 inches of rain in what was reported, and this was all within 24 hours. In fact, 30 inches of rain likely fell within 11 hours. Within 6 hours, they got up to 21 inches of rain in eastern Louisiana and portions of Mississippi. And you can see some of these isolated areas got up to 12 inches of rain from Biloxi, Pearl River, over there into Mobile. So parts of the Deep South have had some very, very horrible flash flooding. Many areas had flash flood emergencies going on, and we're still seeing some of the damage of these videos and pictures coming out in portions of this region. Again, very similar to what happened back in 2019 from Imelda is what happened yesterday in portions of Louisiana and Mississippi. It just would not stop and kept on back building. Going for our construction and outdoor forecast for today, it is going to be a mostly hot day for, I would say, a good portion of the day, and then we'll be watching for some storms to move in. At least 30 to 40% coverage is expected, really kind of when we start shutting down the work hours. 4 or 5 p.m. is when we think this should start kind of moving into our general direction. Temperatures getting into the upper 80s to really into the low 90s, and some areas could get into the mid 90s, thanks to a sponsor of Modern Concrete. So this morning and the early afternoon shouldn't be a problem, but as we get into the early afternoon, into the mid-afternoon, we're going to pull out our handy-dandy radars, especially on the Gulf Coast Weather Solutions app, and see if any storms are starting to approach our region. Because we look on the Futurecast, a little blurry there right now. What's going on? There we go. HD's back. If we look at the Futurecast, you can see mostly quiet this morning and really kind of quiet as we get into the early afternoon. But as we start getting around 2, 3 p.m., we're going to start watching these storms. I'll move out of the way. You can see these storms coming in from the Round Rock, College Station area, approaching Woodlands, Conroe, Huntsville. That will likely move into our what we call the Lakes region. This is pretty much well north of the I-10 corridor, really from the US 190. That will push in pretty active later on this afternoon, and then we'll see how far south this goes. This particular model says it's dry for Houston, Beaumont, Port Arthur, but we're going to continue to keep watching this. Models are not perfect. It is giving us a good telltale sign that some storms are moving in later this afternoon into the early evening time. We're going to see how far south does it actually get. Looks pretty active well north of the I-10 corridor to at least the US 190. But again, we're going to keep an eye on this. So this likely will die down this evening, and could see this pick up once again as we get into Saturday morning. But by the time we get into Saturday afternoon and the rest of the weekend, it looks dry. Rainfall to come. I know this kind of looks very spotty, right? Well, this is the reason why the coverage is 30 to 40% coverage today, a little bit higher towards the Lakes region. And then on Saturday, we're going with 50 to 60% coverage. So not everybody is going to get rain. But if you do get rain, about a quarter of an inch to a half an inch does seem pretty likely. And some of these isolated spots, 1 to 2 to 2.5 inches of rain is possible. So not everybody gets rain, but if you do, it can get pretty heavy in some spots. Not too bad though. And if you look at our rainfall outlook, this is pretty much what we see this time of year back into our summer pattern. Not a very wet pattern. It's mostly dry. The highest we get is really as we get later this afternoon and into Saturday morning, and then back to Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, and on Sunday, coverage dries out. And that's kind of what we stick around for much of next week as well too. Thanks for a sponsor of Do Good Credit Union. Taking a look at the tropics, nothing is going on to the Gulf. Lots of wind shear and dry air is kind of calming everything down. So nothing is going on into the tropical Atlantic. National Hurricane Center is going to keep on the remnants of Arthur. This is going to go off the East Coast, but none of this is a problem for us. The Gulf and the tropical Atlantic remains quiet at least the next 5 to 7 days. So nothing to worry about in the tropics, at least in our neck of the woods. Only thing we're going to be worried about is the heat. It's going to be hot, low to mid 90s, some areas possibly getting into that 95, 96 degree mark. The biggest thing that we're going to watch, thanks for sponsor Silsby Ford, get you one, is the heat index today, because that's going to be hot. Sponsored by Sweet Electric, 101 to up to 107 in some spots. Very similar to what we saw yesterday. Our only relief from the heat is some of these storms that move in later on this afternoon. And again, remember this, anytime you get this heat and you get storms, severe weather chances are on the lower side, but we will see if we do get any stronger storms with some gusty winds, 40 to 50 mile per hour winds on the, I would say this is a very low risk, but you could see some stronger gusty winds from some of the stronger storms. Again, this is really just our summer storms moving in, but we'll see if we do get any stronger storms, because typically when you get a lot of this heat, these storms move through, they can have lots of lightning and can get pretty gusty in the wind department. Other than that, just 1 to 2 inches of rain, what we're looking at. And then overnight tonight, very warm, muggy, and humid for what we feel this time of year anyway. Low 80s, almost near the mid 80s down towards the coast. I-10 corridor, middle to upper 70s, pretty much almost to the low 80 mark as well too. And then north of that, you'll pretty much stay into the upper 70s. Very warm and very humid night expected once again for us. And here's our 7-day forecast for southeast Texas. The highest we really get in the rain is really around 40 to 50%, and that's mostly today and into Saturday morning, because really the next 5 to 7 days is going to be mostly hot and pretty much drier than what it has been, especially this past week. Temperature is going to be mostly into the low 90s, some areas getting into the mid 90s. Heat index really the biggest thing that you're going to see. Same thing for southwest Louisiana. Pretty good decent chance of coverage of rain later on this afternoon. We'll watch those storms from the Dallas region approach southeast Texas, southwest Louisiana. They look to redevelop again on Saturday morning. And then by Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, we are clearing out for a mostly dry weekend, especially into next week. Temperatures in the upper 80s to low 90s for southwest Louisiana. And if you have not yet, please go download our free Gulf Coast Weather Solutions app. It is free on the Google and App Play Store. It keeps you updated 24/7. Have a wonderful Friday. We will continue to watch these storms. We'll take a look just one more time. We will continue to watch these storms going on in the parts of the west, really over there towards the Dallas region. We're going to watch them move into our general area around 2, 3 o'clock this afternoon. We'll watch to see how far south they actually do go, but this should get pretty active, especially into our northern areas just north of the I-10 corridor. So we'll continue to keep watching them. Have a good Friday. Thanks for tuning in to our HB Neal Friday morning show. Have a great Friday, and thanks again for tuning in.
Gulf Coast Weather Solutions is sponsored by
At Gulf Coast Weather Solutions, we focus on delivering reliable weather forecasts. Our new app provides reliable weather updates and alerts no matter where you are. With real-time weather alerts and warnings, you can stay informed and prepared wherever you go. Download the Gulf Coast Weather Solutions app today on the App Store and Google Play, and stay connected no matter where you are.